Hey everyone, it's Jason. Welcome to another Marvel vs. System 2-player card game unboxing. This is for the Defenders, so you can check out the base game if you want to see the characters in there, as well as there's a how to play video which explains the different types of cards and how the combat and stuff works. So I'm not going to have to re-go through that in every video. So this is one of the first two expansions, this along with the A-Force expansion, which came out, I think, roughly-ish about the same time. They're going to add two new teams. So the base game had the Avengers, X-Men, Guardians of the Galaxy, and then the evil team was the villains. This adds the Defenders and the Underworld as heroes and villains. This is also sort of a semi starter. Like, they started making these decks so you can kind of buy this and play it by itself. So there's enough cards in here to actually sit there. You have enough. You have your leader cards. You have enough support characters and stuff, and a couple of plot twists, as well as you're gonna have locations. So you could take either of these two decks, sit down, like sort them out to like the correct number of cards, 60 cards in a deck, and actually play a game against each other. It does say here the core set's recommended. It's recommended for two reasons. Well, three reasons. One, because it has the instruction books. If you don't know how to play at all, you have the instructions. Two, it has all the counter tokens, like the +1s, -1s, health counters, and stuff like that. But you could use your own counters, or if you have stuff from other games, you could replace those. And then the third thing would be because you get other, some other plot twists, and some of them are more generic, not based on a team. Some are. You get some other different ones that you can use. But you could conceivably buy this. One person could play Defenders, one person could play the Underworld, and you could play a game right out the box because you have all your resource cards. Later expansions that come in the smaller boxes won't have the resource cards. You have to have like either one of these other bigger sets, the core set, or one of these. Otherwise, you won't have the ability to play your special resources. Alright, so let's hop into this. We're going to look at the instructions here quick. So I'm not going to explain how the game works. But we are just going to go through them. So again, we're having the Defenders. We'll have the D symbol. Underworld, which will have like a guy in shady glasses. It's also saying characters can have versions of two different teams. For example, Daredevil, Doctor Strange, and Luke Cage are in this set as Defenders, but they were also in the core set as Avengers. So you can discard one or the other to power them up. So any character that shares the same name, regardless of what set it's from, it is considered the same character. So if you have a main character, Daredevil, he can level up or power up with either the Avengers Daredevil or the Defenders Daredevil. It doesn't matter which set he came from. And there's protection, wound characters, lots of stuff. So this is just mentioning that there's the good and evil sets of characters, because some cards will specify that. Mention you have to shuffle your deck. Just some other specified rules for specific characters, which I'm not going to go over each one, because they're for each different character. A couple different things. Hex for Scarlet Witch, Carnage. And then we have the deck list. So here's our Defenders. And now, this isn't what's in the game. This is saying if you want to build a deck, this is what they recommend starting with. They're saying, like, you have 4 copies of Angel, 4 copies of Hellcat. You get 4 copies of your cards. That way you can mix and match, build your decks how you want. But this is what they're saying. This is what you should do, or utilize these specific characters if you want to build this deck. Alright, let's hop into this. So we're going to start with our heroes. We're going to start with our Defenders. We have good old Hornhead. We have Daredevil. So we have level 1. What's also interesting about this set versus the base set. So in the base set, every lead character or main character had a support version. After the base set, they don't always do that. And part of that is some of them they have if they already had a version in a different deck, they didn't reprint them a second time. So they're like, rather than us giving you a Daredevil in this set, so like we have Daredevil as a leader, but we don't have Daredevil, I think, as a supporting character in here. And they did that because you want to use Daredevil as a supporting character, use the base game. That's another reason. And that way they could have his slot in this deck be used for a different character. And they do that with a bunch. So that's why if you don't see a supporting Daredevil, that's why. Alright. We have Man Without Fear. He has pay a red. Daredevil strikes with double his attack this combat. And he has the Protector of Hell's Kitchen. When Daredevil gets attacked, if he is protecting a character, he gains XP. So if he's in the front row protecting guys, he'll gain XP, and that's how he levels up. His level 2 is Radar Sense. Pay a yellow. Enemy players must play with their hands revealed. The enemy player then may pay a red during their main phase to end this effect. So if he pays it, it's always happening until the opponent plays a card to stop it. It's actually really cool because there's some effects that really work well with that. So here we have Doctor Strange. Supreme Knowledge. Pay a blue to draw a card. You may use this power any number of times during your turn. And then we have Supreme Power. Each 5 to level up, it says whenever you draw one or more cards, Doctor Strange gains an XP. So he's gonna level up really fast because you're gonna draw a card. It's whenever you draw one or more cards. It's not for every card you draw. So at the beginning of your turn, you draw 2 cards. So you're drawing one or more cards. So it's gonna take 5 turns of just regular, but you can use other abilities to level them up quicker. And here's a second one. We have Mass Transmutation. Transmutation. Yellow. Choose a number of characters for each one, remove its plus counters, and put that many minus counters onto it, or vice versa. And then some of these effects, if you watch the base video, you're going to see they kind of mirror their character. So those are 2 returning characters that we've had. Now we have a brand new one. We haven't seen Ghost Rider yet. Spirit of Vengeance, a yellow and a green. Starting enemy character that attacks since the end of your last turn. And when innocent blood is spilled, 3 to level up. When another character on your side gets KO'd on an enemy player's turn, Ghost Rider gains XP. So if they KO one of your characters during their turn, you get one. It's kind of also interesting. He has no attack power and he has 6 defense. So he kind of just hangs out until bad things have happened. And then he's like, you know what? Enough blood's been spilled. I'm acting. And then he gets 7/6. He has Hell on Wheels. Pay a red. If Ghost Rider is ready, drive him into an enemy row and he may make any number of melee attacks one at a time against characters in that row. When Ghost Rider gets stunned or you're done attacking, drive him back to one of your rows exhausted. So that's crazy. You pay a red, he can attack one of the rows, one of the enemy rows, do melee attacks. So it has to be a front row because it's melee. But it says you can pick one in case you're playing like a 3 or 4 player game. Now you can keep attacking guys until he's finally defeated. That's crazy. And then he just goes back exhausted. He doesn't even get stunned. If he gets stunned or you're done attacking, you gotta go back and he's exhausted. Alright, and then we have Luke Cage. Impervious Sting. Pay a green. Luke Cage does not get stunned during this combat. If he gets stunned, he does not get wounded. This is just like his other ability. And Hero for Hire. Pay 5 XP. During your build phase, you may pay any amount of resource points to give Luke Cage that much XP. So you can spend your resource points to level him up. So, You can just choose to sit there and keep leveling him up rather than paying for other stuff. And then he has Power Man and Blank. Search your hand, deck, or tail pile for an Iron Fist supporting character and put him into one of your rows. So Power Man and Iron Fist. It's like cool. It's like one of the first cards that actually specifies another specific card. So there are 4 new main characters. Let's start looking at our supports. Again, we're gonna get 4 of each of these. So we have Angel. I feel like some of these, the Defenders, it's interesting because you think of the Defenders, most people just think of the Netflix series Defenders. There's a lot of other characters that were Defenders. There's been several different versions and incarnations. So now we have Angel, Dodge, can't be ranged attack, and Healing Blood. Heal a wound from a supporting character on your side. And yes, that is a mutant power he has. It's not just some weird made-up effect. We have Cloak. The Dark Force hungers. At the start of each player's build phase, put a minus counter on each character on that player's side. That's crazy. You're going to take that guy out as quickly as possible. And then we have Dagger to complement him, who says, Purifying Light. When Dagger appears, remove all -1 counters from characters on your side. Characters on your side cannot gain -1 counters. So, this is why they're very complementary to each other. Because this says, put one -1 counter on all characters on each player's side. Put a -1 counter on each character on that player's side. So at the start of each player's build phase. So on your opponent's turn, you play them on their turn, they'll gain -1 counters. And then on your turn, all your characters gain -1. It's just going to keep accumulating until you get stopped. But if you get Dagger out, if you happen to get her out later, you get to remove all minus counters from your characters. Plus, you can't gain them. So basically, now you've negated the bad side of Cloak. Here we have Deathlock. Rebuilt Body. Pay a green, put a character in your KO pile on the bottom of your deck. Deathlock has that character's base attacking defense instead of his own this turn. So he can boost up. Here's a support Ghost Rider. He has this penance there. When Ghost Rider appears, choose an enemy character to put a 1/1 or minus counter on it equal to the number of good characters in your KO pile. So as your guys die, Ghost Rider becomes more, can do more and more damage. We have Patsy Walker, Hellcat. Pounce. While Hellcat is attacking an exhausted character, it can't strike back against her. So there's a really good one. Cheese and Crackers. Oh, that's funny. Here we have Iron Fist to go with our Luke Cage. So he has Dodge, can't be ranged attack, and Iron Fist Punch. When Iron Fist strikes a character's combat, stun that character. Mark Spectre, the Moon Knight. Multiple personalities. You can discard any character to power up Moon Knight. That's crazy. And then, I think it was Iron Man in the base game that got leveled up anytime someone powered up. So if you played Moon Knight, you could just discard 4 cards to automatically, or discard any number you needed to power him up, and then level up Iron Man that way. We have Nightwing. Not Nightwing, Nighthawk. Wrong universe, completely different character. Mobilize the team. Yellow Bill, you may pay 4 less to recruit a Defender's character this turn. Again, I think this is the first time we've seen a character symbol on a card. And then Night Shift. Nighthawk gets +3/+3 during enemy players' turns. What would our Marvel be without a Punisher? So it has lethal. When Punisher stuns a defending supporting character, KO it. And perfect position. Pay a red. If Punisher is in ranged combat, he can't be struck this combat. So even if he's shooting somebody else, he can't be shot back. We got a Scarlet Witch. She has Hex. Enemy characters can't level up. They can still gain XP. So they can keep using their abilities to gain XP, but once you take out Scarlet Witch, then they'll auto level up. And our... Oh, no, not our final support. We have a couple more. We have Valkyrie. Chooser of the Slaying. Build, pay a yellow. You may recruit characters from your KO pile this turn. We have the Vision. Increased density. Combat, pay a blue. A Vision is attacking, double that is current attacking defense is combat. Decreased density, pay a blue. A Vision is defending. He can't strike or be struck this combat. So if you need to take someone out, you can double him. If you need to not die, you can just basically avoid the attack. But it says if he's defending, so it's actually, this kind of works in a way that Magic the Gathering sort of works, because he's technically still blocking that guy. Like, they choose to attack him, so they exhaust, and then they're blocking him and enter the combat, and then you can basically be like, nope, your attack missed. And it doesn't end the combat or let that character choose somebody else. And then we have War Machine, who is our final hero, who has Rocket Launcher. Pay 2 green to KO a supporting character. Then we're going to get some specific Defender plot twists. We have Hidden Weapons. Main, choose a character on your side to get plus counters and get range. And you can, in combat, choose a character in the combat to gain +1 in range. So this is neat because you can choose which time you want to use that. You can play it in the... before you choose to attack, and then you can choose to make a ranged attack. Or if you're doing it during combat, giving someone range would mean if they're in the back row and they get attacked by a ranged character, now they can attack back. Except they're defending. So yeah, it's kind of cool. You can't wait till combat, because once you're in combat, you've already chosen your defender is. So you can't then give them range to choose a different target. You have to do it during the main before. But it's neat that you have options like that. We have Spellbound, Doctor Stranger. It's an awesome looking costume though. In combat, any players can't play plot twist this combat. Gonna shut Loki down. And Super Senses with Daredevil. In combat, choose a defending character to get +5 combat. +5 combat. And then their final card is they're going to get the Sanctum Sanctorum as their special location. So Doctor Strange's house. Alright, so that is our defenders. Let's look. Alright, so the Underworld is going to be much like the base game, the villain set. Where the villain, which is all random villains. This is going to be a little bit more tied in, because they're going to be more darker characters versus just random characters. So they're going to kind of theme against who the defenders would fight. So they're going to be like Daredevil, street level villains like Bullseye here, like Kingpin, stuff like that. Or they're going to be like Ghost Rider or Doctor Strange, like some of the mystical enemies. But they're kind of like the characters that are hiding in the shadows. But they're still kind of like vague. They're not like the Sinister Six or the Masters of Evil, who are like a group of characters. Or like Serpent Society, which doesn't have a set yet. But here we have Bullseye. So he's our first villain. Infallible Aim, pay 2 yellow, wound a face-up supporting character. Just straight wound them, doesn't even have to stun them or anything else. And then Cold-Blooded Killer, 3. When Bullseye KOs an enemy character, he gains an XP. And when he levels up, he gains Lovely Night for a Murder. You can pay 3 to put a wound on a face-up main character. That's crazy. I mean, 3's a lot to try and spend, but doing a wound, when some of these guys have somewhere between, like, usually around 4 to 6 health, somewhere in that range, usually, you can probably, like, he has 5, I mean, you can straight up do 1 damage to him. That could be the finishing point, that could be a starting point. Alright, then we have Kingpin to have another Daredevil baddie. Expand the Empire. Build, pay a green. Reveal the top 5 cards of your deck. Put a location from among them into your hand. The rest on the bottom of your bottom in any order. And take over the city. When a location appears on your side, gain an XP. And then we have his level 2, which he has Kingpin of Crime. Pay 1 color of one of the 4. Put a 1 plus counter on a character. You may use this power any number of times during your turn. So basically boost up whoever you need to boost up, however you need to pay for it. Our next villain, we're going to get Venom. So we saw Agent Venom before, but we didn't have a regular Venom. He has Revenge Bond, Recovery Step. So we haven't had anything happen in the Recovery Step. You can pay a blue. If Venom is recovered this turn, put 2 plus counters on him. So if he got damaged and you recover him, he can gain some extra bonuses. And Growing Bond, whenever Venom gains 1 or more plus counters, he gains XP. And again, like the other character drawing cards is Doctor Strange, it's any instance he's gaining counters, not per counter. So if he uses one thing, he gains 2 counters, that counts as 1 XP. But you have lots of characters that can add XP. So that jumps him up. He gets Permanent Bond. Pay a green. Venom has Symbiosis until after your next recovery phase. He cannot have his 1/1 counters, his plus counters. He can have plus counters while stunned. So Symbiosis is a neat ability that various symbiote characters have, and then one of the current sets is actually based on the symbiotes, and almost all of them have this. So when they get stunned, they don't remove their counters. So Venom can spend time pumping himself up, and then he doesn't lose his counters when he gets it. But you have to pay for it every time. And you have to pay for this one during combat. So you kind of have to know he's going to get stunned, and you can pay for it. For some of the later characters, it's a static effect. And then the interesting one is we have Winter Soldier. So Bionic Arm, pay a green. If Winter Soldier is in melee combat, he gets +2/+2. And then Cryogenic Stasis, 2 to level up. When Winter Soldier stuns a defending enemy character, you may freeze Winter Soldier. If you do, he gains an XP. Characters affected by freeze can't ready on their next turn. So you get an attack with him, and if he does stun someone, he can't play the next turn. So usually these things should take about 3 to 4 turns for guys to level up. But once he levels up, he gains a sniper rifle. Pay a red, he can make solo ranged attacks against protected characters this turn. So he can't team attack, but he can snipe all the way to the back regardless of who's in front of him. Which is kind of cool. Alright, so those are our 4 main characters. Now let's look at our supports. We have Baron Mordor to fight Doctor Strange. Black Magic. Pay a blue to KO a stun supporting character. We have Blackheart, who's probably more of a Ghost Rider villain. Created from evil, Blackheart gets +1 tokens for each evil character in your KO pile. We have Bullseye. Improvised weapon. Pay a red. Remove a plus counter from Bullseye if you do wound a face-up supporting character. So I get some counters on first, but then you can spend them to do some wounds. We have Carnage. Maximum Carnage. When Carnage stuns an enemy character or gets stunned, you put a plus counter on him, and then he has Symbiosis. He can have plus counters while stunned. So there we were just talking about that. He starts off as a 1-cost 1/1, which isn't much. But if you can boost him up and he stuns characters, he's going to gain bonuses. And then he's going to keep those bonuses. Either he gets stunned, he's still going to take damage. But it's a good way to let him not lose everything after one stun. So you can sacrifice him twice. We're going to get Electro. And this is where we kind of get randomness. Because Carnage is yes, he's evil, but he doesn't really stay in the shadows necessarily. And neither does Electro. But it's a good way to work them into a different set. So we have Chain Lightning, pay a blue, stun each character that costs 2 or less. We have Hellstrom. Davian Hellstrom, which is, he's kind of a anti-heroish character. He does what he wants, but he's not necessarily always evil. But this is an evil acting version of him. He has Dark Soul. When Hellstrom gets powered up, heal a wound from him. Helmet Zero, or Baron Zemo, as he's also known as. Changed with the Thunderbolts there. So Distrust. Pay a yellow. Look at the enemy player's hand. Choose a character that doesn't share team affiliation with that player's main character. That player discards that card. So if they're playing a multi team deck, they can he can wreck some. We have Kingpin's support version, who says pay a green for Underworld Boss. If there are 2 or more Underworld characters on your side, Kingpin takes over being your main character, and your current main character becomes a supporting character. So that's actually a neat effect, that he can jump up and become your main character for a turn. Or, well, as long as he just becomes it. Now, I believe what the rulebook says on that is then you actually swap him out. Yeah, so here. Let's read what this says. The Kingpin support character has a superpower. He takes over. When this happens, your former main character becomes a supporting character and remains in the game. It can still gain XP and level up, but you don't lose the game if it gets KO'd. Instead, you now lose the game if Kingpin gets KO'd. So he doesn't even gain extra health or anything. So that's it's an interesting ability. But it's kind of risky. But maybe if your main character you're having trouble leveling them up for some reason, or you're being hyper aggressive, you could jump right in, or maybe you can protect Kingpin better. I don't know. There's reasons people make decks around it. So here we have an interesting character. So we have Mary Walker, who's also sometimes known as Typhoid Mary. She has composite personality. Mary has all the powers of cards named Mary Walker in your KO pile. She also has the one-of-a-kind ability. You may only have one of this card in your deck. So now on the bottom here, you can see it has listed as number 38D. So she has, instead of 4 of the exact same cards, she has 4 different cards. She has just Mary Walker. You can also play her Typhoid Mary version, which says when Mary attacks, put a minus counter on up to 2 enemy characters. We have her Bloody Mary version. When Mary is attacking a defender with a -1 counter, it can't strike back against her. And we have her Innocent Mary version. While she's defending, each attacker with a minus counter can't strike her. So that's it's really neat because she gets 4 different versions of this character. So we have one that's going to a 3/3. It's going to put, when she attacks, she's going to put minus counters on the characters. And then with that, you can use Innocent Mary, who's a 2/4. So when defending, each attacker with a -1 counter can't strike her. So when she can block characters with her 4 defense, she won't take damage if you have them counters on her. You play the 4/2 version, which is the attacking one. When she's attacking, they can't strike back at her. And if you have all 3 of them out, and you play, or KO'd, and you play this Mary Walker, she has all of their abilities. She's a 4/4. If there's -1 counters on them, they can't strike back at you whether you're attacking or defending. So it kind of makes her very invulnerable if you can do that. Such a neat little mechanic they did. Alright. Our next character is going to be MODOK. Mental organism designed only for KOing. mental calculations. At the start of your turn, look at the top 4 cards of your deck. Put 2 on the bottom and 2 back on the top. Yeah, so it's kind of neat. I'm assuming you can put them back in any order, because that's how, you're going to be looking through them. But yeah, it's kind of cool. Did a little deck research. We have Purple Man. Brainwash. Pay a yellow. Exhaust an enemy supporting character and move it to your back row. When Purple Man gets stunned or leaves your side, if that character is still on your side, move it to its owner's back row. So you have another character that can control people like Professor X. We have the Rhino. Angry. Rhino must be your first attack each turn. If able, it can be a team attack. And then Stupid. When Rhino attacks an enemy player may play yellow to stun Rhino. So he's 2, as a 2 cost, he's a 5/3. He's pretty powerful for a 2 cost. But he has to attack no matter what. So if there's only option is someone that has a higher attack than his defense, he's gonna take it. But also, if they don't want to deal with it, they could potentially just stop him. We have our Venom supporting character, who will have Symbiote Strength. Pay a green to put 2 counters on him, and his Symbiosis can have +1 counters on him when stunned. So compared to Carnage, who is a 1 cost for the 1/1, Venom comes in as a 4 for a 4/4. We have Winter Soldiers, our last supporting character. Into the fray. Pay red if Winter Soldier is in your back row. Ready him and move him to your front row. Yeah, so you can have him strike with a ranged attack, then run up and do a dagger attack. Our plot twist for the Underworld is going to be fair and balanced. Put a plus counter on a character and a minus counter on a character. So however you need to do. It's kind of neat because this is the Winter Soldier version of Bucky Barnes and the Captain America version of Bucky Barnes. Then we have Pain and Suffering, who's a symbiote attacking, I'm guessing it's like a Miles Morales Spider-Man. You have combat. Choose a character to get -2 this combat. Not much, but -2 defense can make a big dent and stuff. Then we have Play Dead. Stun a defending supporter character on your side. It doesn't get wounded. Since you're going to lose anyhow, you can play dead so you don't take damage. And then the final card we have for Underworld is Fisk Tower, which is their special location. Alright. So the last thing we're going to have in this set is the last 2 things we're going to have is we're going to have, of course, we have locations, and you're going to get 8 of these, 4 for each deck. So we have Training Location, so that is in the Danger Room. We're going to have a Laboratory, which is, I'm not sure. I'm going to guess maybe an AIM or like Ultron Lab. It's really hard to tell what kind of lab that actually is. We're going to have a Fortress. So this is a castle that Asgard can get to. I don't know if it's not supposed to be Odin's Palace, but there's a Throg there. And then we will have the Academy, which is Midtown High, which is Peter Parker's Spider-Man school. So you're going to get 8 copies of each of those. So again, you can play at these without having the core deck. You just won't have all the other stuff. And then we're going to get some plot twists that can be used for either deck. So we have Loyal Soldiers. Choose a team affiliation. If all characters on your side have that team affiliation, put a plus counter on each of them. So that's kind of neat. And then this is the Defenders, Avenger characters on this side going up against the Dark Avengers. You get 4 copies of that. So that way you can put, like they probably specify maybe putting 2 in each deck. And then you're also going to get Shock the System. Electro attacking Spider-Man. Choose an attacker to get -3 attack this combat. And again, those don't have the team affiliation, so they can easily be slid into any deck. And I like that they give you 4, so you can, if you're just buying this again to play, I'm buying this and I'm taking it to a game night to play against someone else that has their own cards. You have the option of having all 4 in your deck if you'd like. Or if you're playing, I'm playing my deck versus someone else. I'm playing at my house. They're playing the other. One's playing Defender, one's playing Underworld. You can each have 2. Like in the base set, they gave you other plot twists that were like this, and I specified in that video. I didn't like that they only gave you 4 copies of the cards when there's 4 decks. Because it's like, yes, then one player's playing against the second player, you can each have 2 each. Or if you're playing by yourself, you can have 4 copies. But they give you enough resource cards or location cards here, like your basic locations, to build all 4 decks at once. You could play a 3-player, 4-player game, but then that limits each player getting only 1 of those cards. So it would have been at least neat if they would at least included 8, so that each player like this could have each had 2 cards in their deck. But they didn't, and that's what happens, I guess. I can't do anything about that. Alright, so that was the Defenders. Add some new characters so you can mix and match these with the other decks, or play them by themselves. So check out my other videos. See you guys later. Bye.